All right, if you are here, you are on the Barnum Financial Group careers page. We're so happy to have you here. This is a video series talking about what is unique and different about Barnum Financial Group, why Barnum is one of the #1 firms in the entire industry to work for if you are a financial advisor. At Barnum, we have extremely high retention rates on both the advisor side and on our infrastructure side, and this series is dedicated about telling you why. Here with me to talk all things Barnum is, of course, our CEO and founder, Paul Blanco.
Thank you. Well, I'm happy to be here today.
Of course. So we are going to talk today about 3 specific areas of Barnum. We are going to talk about the resources that we have here. We're going to talk about culture and what makes Barnum's culture unique and different. And then we're going to breeze into kind of our compensation philosophy and how we think about the comp plans here. Good, Paul?
I'm great. I'm ready to go.
All right, let's hit it. Let's start with the resources. I know the resources at Barnum are definitely the biggest piece of our value proposition, I think. And 2, I think it's something that you're most proud about because the resources are made up of people.
Yeah, which is my favorite part of the business. Can we go I'm going to go really backwards to kind of give you the mindset of how I thought of infrastructure and resources for advisors. So, I've been here at Barnum, fortunate enough to lead this since 1993. So when I got here in 93, the firm was bankrupt. It had only 9 advisors and 3 staff. So when you're thinking of a value prop for advisors at the time, back in 93, I looked around at some of the top firms that technically were at other carriers and were considered our competition at that time. Yeah. And 2 firms in particular. One was in New York City, one was in Lower Fairfield County. And we were not national at that point yet. So I'm looking more local. And a lot of the resources they had were stuff that we have today, but we just couldn't afford back then based on 9 advisors and only 3 staff and being bankrupt. So what I said was, what are we going to do here differently? Besides having a great vision, which was very compelling for advisors to hear, was what was the first resource. So the concept we came up with back then that we really drove deep in the industry in the late 90s was a marketing firm that does financial planning.
How did you come up with that?
Well, as an advisor, I realized that...
Because you were an advisor 2 years, 3 years?
2.5 years as an advisor. And
before you came to Connecticut.
Before I came, an advisor in Brooklyn. And I just told this story on my podcast recently, Small Steps, Big Wins. I had Richard Wildman. Richard Wildman is very well known in the industry on target marketing. And in 1992, I know I'm dating myself right now, but in 1992, I did his workshop. And I went in there angry to do it because I was in a leadership and training program. And they just stuck this video in and they left the room. And what I learned in that, I was only an advisor for 9 months, and I took away like 5 or 6 marketing things that he gave. All of them worked. I literally thanked him the other day because he helped really take my career from here to here as an advisor, but then I was able to carry that here. So what I figured out was if you can help smart, articulate advisors get in front of a client, the rest takes care of itself.
You've always said that.
Yeah, and let's play it backwards. You could have all the credentials. You could be so sharp. You could be articulate. You could even be really great at selling and helping clients take action on things that they're procrastinating on. But if you're not in front of someone, you're basically out of the business and this career is not for you. So that was the journey. And we started real simple. If I can help an advisor get in front of 4 clients more per week, what would happen to their practice? And if I asked the question to them in the interview, how many people are you seeing today? They would say 4 or 5. So I said, if I can help you double that, would you grow your business? So hence, that was really the first thing that we did. And now let's fast forward 30 years later. We're doing that at such a high level now that we're generating, and I don't like to use the word leads, because in the beginning it was about a lead. And a lead is someone that maybe is okay, maybe is not. Today, we're putting what we call opportunities in front of our people in the tune of over 1 million per year in many different silos that we're in. So if an advisor really wants to work hard and grow, that's a great opportunity for them to see more people. So that was where we started.
And you're definitely, I've seen advisors not only double, they're tripling, they're quadrupling their business from when they first came here.
Yes.
So thinking back to the early 90s when you first took over, pretty clear vision, right? You want to put smart, articulate advisors in front of people.
Yep.
That's exactly what you wanted to do. So that's when you developed a marketing firm that does financial planning.
Yes.
Because the goal was to help get leads in front of your advisors.
Yep.
Did you do that
We
back
call it
then?
opportunities,
We
but
call
they
it
were leads
opportunities.
then, but now they're opportunities. Yeah, I did it then, and many of them grew rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
But then what happens is you make decisions as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, and then there's positives and negatives that come of it. So the negative that came of it was also telling them to get fully licensed and credentialed, which they all did.
Mm-hmm.
And especially the ones that really grew, they did it quickly. But they're not able to learn as much because they're seeing so many people. And if you think back into those days, you were traveling. So if you were able to book 15 meetings, or even if they came in the office, that was pretty much a whole week.
Sure.
And then they didn't have enough time to learn. So then the next thing we said was, let's build a division, and we call it the Wealth Strategy Division, but where we were able to bring on people that in each discipline, so let's give a few examples. So life insurance, disability, long-term care, investments, retirement planning / annuities.
Mm-hmm.
We brought in people that own those disciplines that really learned it, and they're able to work with the advisors hand in hand. So if I'm an advisor and now I'm getting in front of more people, but I don't have the skill sets to do total planning, let's say I get into a case where it's disability or it's a high-end life case, and I have the skills but not 100%, I can bring a specialist in, and that person will assist them on that case, no cost. If you think about the industry,
Mm-hmm.
that was very well thought out. In the industry, most people are doing splits, and it's an advisor that is doing that and considered a specialist. These are actually people that are on payroll, on Barnum's payroll. They work directly for Barnum for the advisors. So if you start to think about things like that, it came as a necessity because the advisors were growing rapidly. And how do you make sure they have all the skill sets? And the biggest compliment we get all the time when we bring in new pieces to our infrastructure that were an executive somewhere else and they come here, the first thing they say is, it's amazing that how much faith and trust our advisors have in the Wealth Strategies Division, that they're bringing them, the best producers are bringing them to their top clients. So that's enough of a commercial for the skill sets of those people.
So Wealth Strategies Division, how did it start back in the mid-90s, I think,
Yep.
to where it is now? How many
Yeah,
people?
it probably started later into the 2000s,
Yeah.
but how it started was real simple. As we started getting really good at assets under management,
Yep.
which is pretty much where the industry has went today, many of our advisors started to lose their protection acronym and their belly-width to do it, right? Because they were making dollars here.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really conscious of that. So the first wholesaler we brought on was in the life space because I knew that I had to continue to drive that. Now, if we fast forward today, we probably have 3 people just in life insurance and multiple people in other things. And then added to this was real simple. Then we said, all right, like part of our model is getting the right people doing the right jobs. Was our wholesalers are running illustrations all day long because guys are calling and saying, I need an illustration for this, I need an illustration for that. Then we brought in a sales desk that came in, and that desk consists of 3 to 4 people that are actually doing the illustrations, the morning stars, the annuity illustrations to help make sure the wholesalers can spend their time in front of clients and the advisors can spend their time in front of clients. So it all just kind of mushroomed. It was thought out, but it wasn't like we had a blueprint
Mm-mm.
that said, all right, you do this time, this time. As the business grew and things started to happen, we had to backfill and make some of the resources work.
How many people in WSD now? 25?
Yeah, there's probably over
Right.
25, maybe
Close to
30,
30.
maybe 30 full-time people in that department
Yeah.
that are helping the advisors to grow.
And that's standard to how I feel like you grow Barnum. Your growth philosophy is just every year to make a growth change, to progress every year. So
Yeah,
every year since you've been running the firm, you just will grow a department or a program. And then over the course of 30 years, you went from literally 1 person to now 30 people supporting advisors in their business. pre-sale
Yep.
and during the sale.
Correct.
Right?
And
That's impressive.
Thank you. When you think about it, I get this question all the time, like, how many employees are at Barnum? And I say, well, there's about 130 on the Barnum payroll. And they say, well, how do you pay for all this? And I said, well, advisors pay with doing more business.
Correct. So
if we do more business, we grow. And I always tell our top advisors here and our leaders, if you see me not investing in this, because my mindset is very big on growth, 100%. If you see me not investing, that means I'm packing it and retiring, and it hasn't happened yet. And I don't believe that will ever happen. So we'll continue
Fingers
to
crossed.
do that. It's not going to happen.
Fingers crossed, everyone.
Going. Yes.
And WSD, everybody's credentialed.
Yes.
So many people in that department have a credential, and a lot of them have their CFPs.
Correct.
Correct.
And because the advisors want that.
Of course.
They want smart, articulate people. Like, I wanted to get smart advisors that are smart and articulate in front of their clients, and they wanted people that are, their partners to be smart and articulate
Of course. I sit next to an office of our financial planning director, and I can attest he is on the phone all day with Barnum advisors and their clients talking about planning.
I hope you've taken some of his advice and applied it to your own financial well-being. It's okay to do that. I have an advisor for you too if you need one.
Okay.
Yes.
But he is just very, very good at what he does because he does that all day long.
Correct.
And it's really hard to be a successful solo practitioner now.
No doubt.
Right?
Well, yeah, and remember, there's one business book that I always talk about all the time, and it's Good to Great. And he has two concepts in there, right? One is getting the right people on the bus and then getting them in the right seats.
Yep.
Many advisors that decided that wasn't their route are on our WSD team in a different role or another thing. So that's an example of getting the right people on the right seats. The other thing is the hedgehog theory is doing what you do really well and just keep doing it. So we've become, if you look at sports today, they're very functional. So we've become super functional where people do this one role or this role that's very big, but it's still one.
Yeah.
And they get really good at it, and that's a great example of it.
Yeah, that's a great example of it. All right, so we have WSD. They're rocking and rolling, growing, and doing great. What's another major department here? I know all the departments have tremendous impacts.
Yeah, I would. The next thing I would go to, because we would say that we're a marketing firm that does financial planning. So I want you to think that through for a second, conceptually why, and I'll get to the question. Is marketing is getting them in front of people.
Yep.
So there's only two ways to grow. One is seeing more people. That's the marketing.
Yep.
The second is bigger case sizes. And it's not that simple just to wake up and find people that are wealthier.
No.
So the way we approached that was through selling all the products in one household, hence financial planning.
Yep.
When you go into that, you're bringing people on. So the next department I would say would be that we would talk about was technology.
Yep.
And so now we say we're a marketing firm that does financial planning through a really digital platform. So what we did, the first thing we did was we built a CRM. It's all proprietary here.
Yeah.
We call it internally B2. And the reason we have that is as advisors are seeing so many people, the most important thing is you have to remember as an advisor is that you had clients when you started your career that came on as clients, and those are the people that had trusted you and faith. So you have to continue to service them. So I started to think through back in the early 2000s, late 90s was how do we manage all this as we continue to grow? Now, just to give you an idea, we have over 300,000 households as clients today, so the advisors have very, very big books of business. So we built a tool that will tell the advisor when the best time to call a client in really three different things. One would be products. So all the products they sell have different things that trigger events for them. They have riders or annuities, have riders, life insurance has different riders, disability. So think about knowing when to call each one of them. The second thing was age-based opportunities. Many of our products are purchased on age-based. It sounds simple, but think about an advisor trying to manage a couple of thousand clients on the product stuff.
Yeah.
So the products have algorithms, then there's age. And now, fast forward, we always talked about adding social. Now we're getting ready to, in June or July, launch the social part where there's 8 or 9 different social events like retiring or having a kid or getting married,
Like life
that will
events,
be life events that will also let the advisor know that. So we started the CRM system there. And what we learned real quick with FAs is they'll use a tool if it helps them be more efficient and to get better with their clients. So that's how we started. But now that tool does everything else.
Oh, yeah. So, and I still meet when I'm meeting with advisors who are thinking of coming over, they're thinking of making a change. There's still a lot of advisors in our industry that are still using manila folders, that are still filing things away, or their CRM is an Excel spreadsheet. And yes, you have to start somewhere, and that's where you started, right? Back in the 2000s, where our CRM was basically a place to house all of our information.
Correct.
And I remember back then, we could do really cool stuff with generating reports, and it was really fun at the time. But since then, now you've expanded where we are dependent, we are business dependent, and our advisors are dependent on the current CRM that you have.
Well, yeah, and think about it, like, let's unbundle a little bit. We call this model supported independence.
Mm-hmm.
It's an entrepreneurial platform. So you own your book, on both sides, on the protection side and on the investment and income side. But when you're thinking about evaluations on a book, if you don't have all your data and you can't show all these opportunities to whoever's buying it from you, you're not going to be able to sell it at the highest multiple.
Your
So
business
what
is not
we've
gonna
tried
value
to do was say to an advisor, supported independence. It started with being business for yourself, but not by yourself. That we call supported independence today. They then were attracted to that. The other thing it did was it helped them get in front of people on a favorable basis.
Yes,
Back to my earlier,
which is exactly what.
right?
What
But
we're doing
now that tool does everything from communicating with their staff, warehousing their notes. Like, it's not just, we started as a CRM, but really it's a business platform. And when I look at the rest of the industry today, especially, there's lots of roll-up companies out there where this company's buying this one, this PE firm's going in there. The one thing that they're struggling at is getting one technology. So we've mastered that. And each day we connect more and more to the outside world to make it more and more efficient. So my vision is everything will be integrated in one place, and that will be there. So back to that department, though, we started with a part-time person. I'll probably don't take this anyone as that I'm really a technology guru. I understand how to use it. But we started on Excel. Everyone knows that. But then we went to SQL. Then we tried a different CRM to finally where we landed. That department now has 7 or 8 full-time people in it that are coding and making us efficient. And it started on, like, if you think of AI, we use a lot of AI there. But remember, it started as how do we help advisors and staff have one less click?
Correct.
And now it just kept segmenting and segmenting. So every single day you would think, what are these people doing? That tool is evolving, and there's this word that was out there called agile. We're so agile, we're not a home office. We're an entrepreneurial platform that sits all in one place. They're able to change things. So we were selling a lot more life insurance due to these opportunities. We put our advisors in front of you. So we built the quoting tool right on there. Same thing with annuities. So we're making it more and more full service so advisors can have things right at their fingertips.
Yeah, you're making it more efficient. So
100%.
how can we help our advisors enter this information into the system as quickly as humanly possible,
Correct.
with as few clicks as humanly possible,
Yep.
and give them the most information? So while they're on this one screen, on the phone with a potential client or a client, they have all the information they need.
Yeah.
What I love about this system too that you didn't mention is it's integrated into our entire firm.
Correct.
So every resource communicates through our CRM.
Yeah, back to this sales desk, illustrations get sent to you through that, licensing's on it, HR, and you have to remember this. I was coaching an advisor this morning, and I said to them about efficiencies. You can use that, I call it the 2 Ps. You could use it personally or professionally. So you can get efficiencies in your practice and decide, okay, personally, I'm going to take more time and work on my golf game, or professionally, I'm going to take more time and see 3 more people a week, or I could get rid of a piece of my puzzle to make my business more efficient.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the goal. So that department is continuing to grow, probably one of our fastest growing ones here.
Without a doubt.
That are there. So.
Without a doubt. Before we leave this topic, though, it's also, I have to mention, it was not easy making this transformation from a paper company to a completely digitally dependent firm.
No, it wasn't.
And you did a really great job leading the firm through that. Like everything, we had a few early adopters and we focused on those early adopters, but it was a good 10-year shift to get everybody fully 100% on board. And you never wavered.
No.
You never questioned the decision. You kept investing, you kept growing it, and eventually, and you had to work with that team to continuously prove the value of the CRM.
Well,
and that team rose to the occasion, and they're still doing that today.
Well, thank you. And remember, you have to do two things. You have a vision that I really truly believed was going to help us to be better and the advisors to be better. We had to teach the staff, the tech team, to understand our business. There's one thing to be able to code and say I'm going to be efficient, but there's another thing to do it understanding how the business works. I'll put those people up against many of the top executives in the industry. They know the business from grassroots. The other thing was getting advisors. The first thing you get advisors to do is see that they can see more people favorably so they can make some more money. But once they make money and then they understand the efficiencies, and our advisors have truly become entrepreneurs, especially our teams. If you can show them and not give up on that journey is incredible. And when I think about what we've done, I think we're changing the whole industry, the way they look at the CRM system and the growth of it and the algorithms that are built.
Correct. And how people digest information.
Correct.
You don't need to think. The system makes it very easy and visually appealing. You can look at something very quick and make the determination of who you have to call.
And the cool thing is, not to belabor this, but the word agile, we could be working with any carrier that makes a major paradigm shift on how they do something, and we could almost mask it a little bit with our own local technology to make it better.
Okay, what's the last resource?
I would say marketing. You want me to help you with that one?
Marketing? Tell us why.
Well, when you think about the marketing firm concept, right, it's really critical that advisors understand that. And there's all these different schools of thought, right? Don't think of marketing, like when we're helping put opportunities in front of you, there's ways to leverage them. But many people in this industry think of marketing as just that, right? There's building your website, building your brand, how you show up with customers. Then there's the firm branding, and it's social and it's digital today. So the first thing that I will tell you is, if you look at our industry, back in the mid to late 2000s, everyone's like, you need a marketing director. And most firms have that today, but many of them, that person wears multiple hats. So I always say that, and I'm not trying to be cynical, but many teams have not invested to the level we have. So that person is running lead generation, marketing, and then maybe do some training on the side, where we at Barnum have built a dedicated team. I want to say that we just added our 11th full-time person to the team. And it's very much like WSD, where it's very functional, and everyone has a different discipline, from videography to writing to social. And it's all coordinated through a chief marketing officer that's helping us grow this business. And I think that advisors don't know what they need when they need it. So our job is to show up. And I use the saying that the teacher arrives when the student's ready. Well, our job is to make that teacher arrive quicker on the marketing front. So let's start with your basics and get it done, and your brand. And then let's build on that. And each entrepreneur is different. But what I find in the industry is they start at this basic level. They get told to do this. They do it. They don't understand why. And then they let it just stays like that forever. You should be waking up every November and saying, what's my marketing plan for next year? And then hence, at Barnum, we gave let's call it the foundational stuff. And then what we realized was, our top advisors were growing rapidly, and we built an agency here called the Marketing Agency. And that agency now helps advisors not have to go outside. And let's think about that. Let's unbundle that one. When you go and hire an agency, if you're this real serial entrepreneur and you truly want to grow your practice, they have no understanding of your business. They have no understanding of compliance and the legal aspects of our industry. I've done this, where you would say, all right, this is a great idea, you do it, you get it all ready, you spend all this money, and then you go to compliance, and they say, oh, can't do it.
Sorry, can't do it.
So think about that all sitting locally, and then I always tell the tree story. If you think of the tree story of the CMO, yourself, right? You sit on the top of the tree, and you get to see all the advisors, to the left, to the right, to the bottom, to the middle, where an advisor sits on one branch, and they only get to see the people to the left, to the right, up and down. So we have such a major advantage. So if this top producer is doing X, you and your team could help the next top producer, not stealing their material, but conceptually do that. And it could be anywhere from writing to the whole thing. So
what I always say is our marketing superpower here is that, of course, every advisor is unique and different. And of course, they're building their business in a unique and different way. But there are a lot of similarities between advisors, especially between advisors here and a level of successful advisors.
No doubt.
I've been working with financial advisors for over 20 years. So have a lot of members of the marketing team here. We know financial advisors. We know how they think. We know what challenges, what they're going to have issues with before they even articulate that to us. And that's a big advantage that we have as well, because we are dealing with the same type of person all day, every day. And that makes us really, really good at what we do.
Yeah, and someone that comes from the outside or someone starting their practice brand new, they're benefiting from all that, another buzzword is scale. Well, there's massive scalability there. And once again, it's in a department that just keeps evolving. And you started with one, and now you continue to grow at that level. So I think those are major impacts to FAs.
And everyone always asks, how can you market for so many advisors? We have things that are to scale. We utilize technology. We utilize the CRM so we can scale a good piece of our business so that we can customize another big piece of our business.
100%.
Yeah, so it works both ways. Beautiful. Thank you for that. Those are very impressive resources. All infrastructure at Barnum is about, you said 150 people or so?
Yeah, in the 130 to 150.
Okay. Quite impressive. And
thank you.
I always say that, and I'm part of that. I'm part of that 130 to 150, part of that infrastructure. I think of the advisor as my client. So I walk in every day knowing that it's the advisor I have to serve, and our purchasing client is right behind them. But the advisor comes first. 100%. And I think all of our resources think that way. So that's a lot of really great support for the advisors.
Yes, it is.
For anybody watching, if you have any questions on Barnum, or if you're interested in a career consultation or learning more about our firm, you can click on the link below.